Guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about an OG YouTuber that has come under fire with a significant amount of allegations. Now people are still coming out with their stories, so here I'll show you a part of the people who have come out with allegations against this particular individual, but they are by no means the only people. I'm sure in the next few days, more and more people will talk about their experiences if they want to. So the person that we're talking about is named Destry. Now Destry is an OG YouTuber in the same sense that Onision is kind of an OG YouTuber. Destry started his channel 10 years ago. His first video on his channel right now is from 10 years ago. As of now, his videos still seem to be doing relatively well, considering that being on YouTube for 10 years is a long time and a lot of people see decline, like Onision, but I mean, that was at his own hands. But it turns out that allegedly, Onision and Destry might have more in common than one might think. So these were the types of videos that Destry got popular making. A large part of his demographic was younger girls, especially because in the 2000s, you know, there was the whole emo aesthetic and it was a very popular aesthetic online, and there were, of course, the popular people with that aesthetic, especially on MySpace, who just pretty much were popular for how they looked or how they did their hair. So the reason I became aware of this is because TikToks have been circulating. Now, the first TikTok that I came across has actually been deleted, and I came across it before I was aware of what exactly was going on, so I didn't have time to save it. I'm sure it's re-uploaded somewhere, but it's by this TikToker named Your Girl Adri. Basically, he got a TikTok where she was calling him out, taken down, and there are other TikToks about Destry allegedly on her page, but she didn't name him. So there's this TikTok that I'm gonna put here that many think is about Destry. So that TikTok was allegedly about him. Then there was another TikTok where people were essentially wondering whether he spoke to minors as well.
Hi, no hate to this comment right here. I just kind of want to talk about why I've been like torn about like saying who this is, because the only reason I've even thought about him is I saw one of his videos on my For You page. I was like, holy shit, this was a YouTuber that I'd been following since I was 12. His entire fan base is young girls, because he was cute, and like the only thing I'm going to say is he's emo. And I had gotten in contact with him because he had put his Snapchat up on Twitter late at night and said that it was for any of his fans who he wanted to talk to. He was bored. Whatever, motherfucker. And so we talk, and not really talk, like, you know, he hits on me, and like he's like, oh, I'm like hard in the room with the guy I used to film videos with, and it was just very like kind of childhood ruining, because he was like my first crush ever, and to know that he was totally comfortable using me. But like, is that wrong? That's where it comes in. Like, is that necessarily?
Now basically, because of her TikTok, someone named Nate, who was friends with Destry for, I think it was 14 years. He says it in the TikTok, so you'll see. This person named Nate talks about the fact that he saw Destry being sketchy. Now, I'm gonna just preface, what Nate says isn't the worst of all of this. Not to say that one thing is more important than the other, but Nate's account is of Destry being a liar and shady and a cheater. I'm gonna put those 4 TikToks, because there are 4 parts of Nate talking about his experience with Destry here.
Okay, so I want to start out by saying that if you haven't seen this TikTok, you need to go watch it. And I'll link the person's @ in the description. If you don't watch it, this TikTok is not gonna make a whole lot of sense, so go watch it. Just want to say that this is probably going to take multiple parts, so bear with me. I also need to say that this is pretty hard for me to make, so Sorry if it's all jumbled up and doesn't make sense. With this TikTok coming out, I feel like it's time for me to step forward and validate these people who are all in the comments and all these other people that have experiences with stuff like this happening. I'm not out for blood here, and I don't want to cause more damage than what's already been done, but there's a quote that goes, "The only thing necessary for evil to win is for good people to do nothing." This is part 2, so make sure that you watch part 1. Just to talk a bit about my own experience, I've been friends with Destry since 2003, and I stopped being friends with him in 2017. So basically I've known him for 14 years. I can't really speak about things that he's done to other people because it's not my place to bring up potentially traumatic experiences for other people. But what I can tell you is why I personally quit being his friend. And again, there is so much more than just this one thing that happened. I also want to give a little bit of a disclaimer that all of the people that I'm about to talk about have given me permission to talk about this. This is part 3, so make sure that you watch part 1 and part 2. So this story involves me, Destry, his girlfriend at the time, Amber, and Evie Davis. So in 2017, I became friends with Evie, and shortly after that, I told Destry that I was interested in dating her. And what Destry had told me was that he broke up with his girlfriend Amber and was already dating Evie. And he was telling his girlfriend Amber at the time that the only reason he was talking to Evie was because he wanted to hook her up with me. Long story short, I contacted Amber, who was out of state visiting her parents, and I asked her how her and Destry were doing. She told me that he was telling her that he missed her and that he couldn't wait for her to come home. And that's when his whole web of lies came crumbling down. This is part 4, so make sure you watch 1, 2, and 3 before this. As for the other things that he's done, I've met a handful of people who have shared their experiences with me. And I think that the sad and scary thing is that we've probably only scratched the surface of the things that he's done. Anyways, after all that happened, I was just so disgusted by all of the lying and the cheating that I have not spoken a single word to Destry since. I also want to say that my heart goes out to all the people who have been affected by him. Trust me, I know how it feels. Leaving my best friend of 14 years was probably one of the hardest things I had to do, but it was a choice I had to make to be in integrity with myself. Lastly, I just want to say thank you to everyone listening.
But I just want to say it gets a lot worse than someone being basically a piece of shit by cheating and lying. So this already kind of sets up Destry as someone not really to be trusted. Now, of course, everyone makes errors in judgment. Everyone at some point lies. However, for me, cheating is just something that isn't just a mistake. I'm very black and white with that, but that's another topic. But regardless, after that, someone stitched their video with Nate, and this person actually experienced a really inappropriate kind of relationship with Destry. So this young woman essentially alleges that Destry started talking to her when she was 12 or 13, but she had told him she was 14, and he allegedly was in his 20s already. So her lying obviously was not a good thing, but regardless of whether she was 12, 13, or 14, no man in his 20s should be flirtatious with you or asking you for photos or be in a quote-unquote relationship with you. Like, none of that should be happening with a 12, 13, 14, and then, well, until someone's 18, really, that shouldn't be happening with someone who's well into their 20s. So I'll put what she said here.
Okay, so I want to start out by saying that if you haven't seen this
So, I really didn't ever want to come forward about this because every time I wanted to, I just felt so many emotions and so many traumatic memories surface. And for a long time, I really held on to hope that he was a good person deep down and that he just made mistakes and that he would change. And then some friends of mine, some good friends of mine, basically came forward to me and told me about a lot of other things that he had done. And it just kind of solidified the fact that he's a fucked up person and he has been a pedophile. I don't know if he still is a pedophile, but he has definitely been one. And I can't live with the fact that he still has such a huge platform and so many people have been affected negatively by him, and there seems to be no retribution or no repercussions on his career, and it's fucked up. Part 2 is coming soon. So, just to confirm, to anyone wondering, When I was 13, I discovered Destry, or I was probably 12, and when I was 13, I started messaging him on Twitter, and he started replying, and we exchanged, like, flirty messages, and then I sent him, like, nudes and stuff, like pictures of my butt, and then I eventually, like, a month later, I think I told him, I feel bad, like, I'm actually only 13 or 14. I think I lied and said I was 14. But still, it doesn't matter if I was 13, 14, or 15. It's fucking disgusting for a 20-year-old man. A 20-year-old man! To receive nudes from a teenage girl. Not an 18-year-old girl. A fucking child. And to offer to fly me out, to stay with him, to have sex with him. I wasn't gonna be there to fucking play Jenga. We ended up talking pretty much every day for a while, and I was young and naive, so I thought that I was special to him. I thought we were, like, on our way to boyfriend-girlfriend, and I had fantasies, like, I had watched him for so long that I would, like, stare at his face and just be like, oh my god, I want to marry him, I want to be with him, I want to be, like, the one girl that's so special that he chooses me, and, like, we live happily ever after together. Anyways, so I started to think that this is where this was going. No. Because I went on his Twitter and his likes, and I started finding other girls that were making it seem like he was in a relationship with them. And upon further investigation and talking to these girls, they were like, oh yeah, he went to a carnival with me and kissed me on the Ferris wheel just last week. And they were 15-year-old girls! Oh my god, it's so disgusting. Yeah, part 4 coming. This will be the last video that I make on TikTok about this. I will make a full extended YouTube video. And I'll link it somewhere here. But yeah, long story short, I was not the only one. There are probably hundreds, if not thousands, of young girls who have been used, exploited, and groomed by Destry because of his presence and because of his power and his influence that he's accumulated. And I'm really grateful for Nate. Thank you, Nate, for making your video, because if you wouldn't have, I probably would not be expressing this and sharing this to the public like I am. I've always felt like I needed to do it, and your quote about, like, good people standing by is what allows evil people to do what they do. And I never want to believe anyone's evil, but honestly, pedophilia is pretty fucking evil. To anyone who has been a victim, I stand with you 100%, completely. I'm here for you.
So basically, because all of this has come out, slowly there are more and more people coming out talking about the fact that Destry was essentially, and is, because I don't really think you grow out of that phase, a pedophile, because there's no reason to be talking to young girls in that type of way. And I already think it's weird for someone who has that kind of demographic to open themselves up, in a sense. And by that I mean, if I put myself in the position of a very, very popular, like a YouTuber that has over 1 million subscribers, and my majority demographic is young people, whether they identify as girls or boys or whatever else, that's unimportant. But if I know that my demographic is a majority of young people / children, I don't think I would ever open my DMs or Snapchat or things like that, simply because it would feel weird, and what are you really going to talk about with people you have such an age gap with? Of course, they could publicly comment and you could publicly comment back, but I always feel like when influencers, content creators, celebrities do shit like this, when their demographic is so young, it almost always feels weird, because it's like, why do you need to private message someone? Like, the only times I can really think of a circumstance where that makes some kind of sense is when, you know, like their mom tells you it's their birthday and you DM them happy birthday or something like that. But the need for like a back and forth conversation, I don't know. I just don't feel like many people with good intentions open up their DMs or even create a Snapchat saying they're bored so they can talk to their majority young girl demographic when they're a male in their 20s. Just, it doesn't make sense to me what the need for that is, especially because of the nature of Snapchat specifically. Now, of course, you can take screenshots, but I stopped using Snapchat a couple years ago now, but last I know, when you take screenshots, the other person knows. So Snapchat is a smart place in a way because everything goes away after 24 hours. And if someone takes a screenshot, if the person is manipulating a younger child or like a young teen, they could probably get them to delete the screenshot they took, so to delete any evidence whatsoever. So Snapchat specifically, I'm always very suspicious of in situations like this. As of right now on Twitter, when I was looking to kind of see what's going on, there isn't too much. Like, there were a couple of people tweeting like, what a creep, or like, I expected better, blah, 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 but it hasn't been blowing up to the extent that it has been on TikTok, hence why I wanted to talk about it here. Honestly, I'm just curious as to where this is gonna go. Destry did make his Twitter private, which is understandable to a degree because I'm sure he's receiving what he would be calling harassment. But at the same time, this also doesn't help with the appearance because it makes it look like you don't want to hear anything, you don't want to see anything, you're not going to say anything, and you're going to wait for this to pass. And it makes you just look suspicious. So I don't know if there's going to be a statement made. I don't know what's going to happen from here on. I predict that there are going to be more people coming forward saying that they had, you know, similar experiences, because it's hard for me to believe that there was this just one or two people. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below, what you think the situation is and what it's going to evolve into. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and let's get right into